So here we are. What we're going to talk about is about dogs. I'm just thinking, well, just thinking here. Okay. So I'm thinking Speedy, all right? Speedy G. It's one of my dogs. They literally, him and Cecil are litter mates. They just turned 12. And Speedy has never been, I mean, he's a drama queen. And yes, there are some definitely unneeded x-rays on this dog because he screamed like something was broken, whatever, to find out he's just really dramatic. But anyway, outside of that, he really hasn't cost me much money until this particular past couple of weeks. And he's made up for it for the last over the last 12 years of not causing me a lot of money. But this is why I wanted to talk about it. Okay. So I have my local vet. My local vet is good. Okay. But they're still general practitioners. Right? So Speedy came in with a mild case of pancreatitis, and they treat it like they treat all cases of pancreatitis, and looked like it went away. And then he was back in like a week later with something else that looked similar, and X-rays and whatever show that it was probably an intestinal infection, and they treated him for that too. And then it went away, and then pancreatitis came back with a vengeance. Right? And my vet is smart enough to know there are things beyond his scope because you know what? They're general practitioners. Okay. And said, you need to go to the emergency animal hospital, which for me is no traffic, an hour away. Where'd she go? Where'd Chris go? An hour away, providing the Hood Canal Bridge is not up. Okay. So off to the emergency vet, where they treated him differently than my vet treated for pancreatitis. It's more of a specialty place. Everyone's there is board certified in something. Okay. So don't ask me what that ran me, but the point being is what it cost me at my regular vet versus what it cost me at my emergency animal hospital.
How did they treat differently? That's what I'm interested in.
Well, first of all,
Did they do differently at the special place?
Well, first of all, they kept him overnight.
Mm-hmm.
For one, they put him on fluids.
Mm-hmm.
They did ultrasounds, which my vet is not capable of doing ultrasounds.
Right.
X-rays, and then that gets sent off to a radiologist, and just happened to have the guy doing the ultrasounds there for something else, so worked out well for us.
Mm-hmm.
And with fluids, different medications, where their concern is that he wasn't eating. Speedy, that's one of his things. If he's not feeling well, he doesn't eat, and he's got no weight to lose.
Yeah, so just better diagnostics, basically, and
better diagnostics, and the fact that there's someone there 24/7 to keep an eye on him. Right. So he spent the weekend. Well, like I said, the cost for my regular vet and the cost for the animal emergency hospital is not even in the same zip code. Okay. So one of the points that I want to make is that if you can prevent emergency animal hospital visits, do so.
Heck yeah.
And that means paying attention to the pets, catching things quickly will also help save. I mean, Angie, you just taught a class, first aid class this past weekend, correct?
Yep.
All right. So one of the things with Speedy, and I think why we did is he did really well because my vet didn't have high hopes for him when we brought him down to the emergency animal hospital, is that everything still, even though he had a really bad attack of pancreatitis, we were on top of that. Meaning we got to the vet pretty quickly, and gum color had not even changed yet on him. So just want to
sometimes it's inevitable though. I mean, even in a pristine backyard, there's a stick or a leaf or a bug or a lizard or something that they get a hold of, and you don't know if it's going to poison them, be toxic, or just hurt their belly, throw them into pancreatitis. Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. But being vigilant, I mean, you see her jump up here. She does that 20 million times a day when I'm home. So I'm able to touch her feet, her legs, see her belly, smell her breath, look in her ears, touch her tail, look at her anal area. So, I mean, you just have to be hands-on.
Yeah.
Hands-on as much as possible. And then groomers are hands-on anyway. And rather than just concentrating on the haircut, it behooves you to put your hands on that body, see if there's any lumps, bumps, anything going on there. What's different than the last time they came in 4 weeks ago or whatever.
Yeah. So Denise is not here because she's off to another trade show.
Where is she off to?
Yeah, I know.
Just boarded the plane, she said.
She's going to the boarding daycare, the one that's in Vegas.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have a blast.
Yeah, have fun. That show is actually on my bucket list. So sooner or later, I keep bugging Rebecca. Hey, I want to teach at that show, but not this year. Hey, Rebecca, I'd like to teach at that show, but not this year either. So one of these days, I'll get out there. So anyway. Keeping Las Vegas, I know, which is not a horrible time of year to go to Vegas right now because it's what?
Yeah, it's pretty pleasant.
It's more pleasant than Super Zoo will be in August.
Right.
Right. So yeah. Oh, and by the way, I don't know whether I thank Denise or smack her around a little bit. Okay?
Some of both.
Probably some of both. Okay, because she recommended a book for me. All right. And so, Denise, I got the book. I got it in Audible. I'm reading it. And the fact that I got past the first, I guess, introduction when she's talking about 9/11, I got past that and then went on to the book. And my reactions throughout the book ranged anywhere between, oh, that's interesting. Wow, I never know that. I know that's not true because I do that. Okay, you know exactly what I'm talking
What
about.
book was it?
It's called Becoming Bulletproof. And by Evie Hampouris.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how I pronounce her name. Okay. To F this, she doesn't know, no. And like, I cannot believe I've been played. Okay. It's a great book. All right. I've got about another hour and a half left on the audiobook, but it's a great read. It's very interesting. And one of the early things I picked out of that book was knowing how you respond in emergencies and disasters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Becoming bulletproof. Yes, that was it. And so for me, I know that my first response in any given emergency situation, my very, very first response is to freeze. I know that. Okay. My second response is to fight. But because I have spent so much time being in uncomfortable situations, that freeze doesn't last long anymore. Mm-hmm. Literally lasts like a second. All right. So I've worked through it for the most part. And I think it's important to know what your reaction is, because you don't get a choice in the matter. Your body just reacts. Mm-hmm. In the discussion, right? And so knowing how you react, not only how you react, is how other people who might be involved in that situation with you, how do they react? My husband's first response is to fight.
I get in there. My first response is I get in there and I have to assess the situation. Is there blood? Is there unconsciousness? Is there whatever it is? I need to see it so that I can act. I just do it, and it's a response that I'm not even in control of. Thankfully.
No, you are not.
But I mean, that's what I do. I'm like, let's do this, and then I break down later after it's all said and done because of the stress.
That's normal.
So, I don't know, after briefly assessing a situation, is legit turning to one of your friends and going, "Hold my purse," and running towards the conflict.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm. Yeah, I
I-
get all the way up in there.
But regardless of whether it is fight, flight, or freeze, that's still you're not thinking. All right, you're reacting to the situation.
Mhm.
It's learning to get past your initial, knowing what it is, and working through it. And that's why first responders practice all the time because whatever their response is, they need to like not have that be a problem when they're in the middle of a disaster.
Mhm.
Okay, so this goes back to training because
Mhm.
your body will respond to how you were trained.
Yes.
This is why back in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was a robbery. The guys were wearing all bulletproof gear. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so the police responded. They were firing on the police.
I remember this.
The LA police force at the time, when they did their range work, they would fire their weapon and then they had to police their brass, meaning they had to collect their brass at the bottom of the range and deposit it into the container to be reloaded later. During the firefight with men who were shooting at them with machine guns, they were policing the loose brass on the ground because that's what they were trained to do. Does that make sense? No. But your adrenaline's pumping, you're in a stress situation, you're not thinking, you're relying strictly on your training. And this is what you were trained to do. You shoot, you police your brass. You shoot, you police your brass. That's what they were trained to do. That's what they did. So that's why if you train your body to do something, good or bad,
Mhm.
that's what you will do in a stress situation when your adrenaline is high and your conscious logical mind it's on vacation right now.
Yeah.
You are purely running on instinct, subconscious, and that's what you will do. That's why, like Mary said, I taught a CPR class this past weekend. I make sure all of my students actively do CPR for 2 complete minutes because when the time comes for them to do that, that's what their body will do. Because I've heard from students after they've taken my class, we do 2 minutes in each method because I have heard from them later. I had to do CPR 3 months after I took your class. And I didn't know what to do, but my body was already doing CPR.
Mhm.
And by the time my brain caught up, a minute had gone by that I had been actively doing CPR.
Mhm.
I went, oh my God, I'm actually doing it. Because training is what is a repetitive motion your body goes through so that when your active logical mind goes on vacation, stress, whatever, that's what your body is going to do because it's an autonomic response at that point. It's muscle memory. You're just doing it. And then later your brain catches up and you're like, holy crap,
Mhm.
I'm doing the thing.
You're doing the thing. Yep.
I'm doing the thing. I'm doing the thing.
Mhm.
And just as an example with one of my own dogs. So back the crew before, Marcus had a heart attack. All right. And my first reaction was like, what do I do? The second I put my hand on the dog, I started doing CPR. And you know what? It was because of that muscle memory, because I was having trained to do that. In fact, I still train myself at least several times a year because we teach it. Okay.
Mhm.
But again, it's your training makes such a big difference. Is why all of us here, we will tell you, if you're going to take a pet first aid class, make sure it is a hands-on class because you need to do those motions.
Yeah.
in front of somebody who knows what it looks like so that they can
Right.
position you correctly and show you how to do it hands on.
Yes.
But you can read a book all day long, but still not know where to place your hand, not know how much pressure to use, all the things.
So
It
I
was-
know at Quincy at the Teton show, she's got Stephanie Calhoun,
Mhm.
and I think is it Brenda Mendez that's coming in to do the pet first aid class for you. I trained Stephanie, by the way, to come in to do it. It is so important.
It is. I had a medic. She was Air Force medic. 21 years in the Air Force. She was a medic out there saving our soldiers' lives. And she took the class. She was a pet parent. She's not a groomer. She's a pet parent. And she took the class because she wanted to see the differences between human and pet CPR. And so it was the coolest thing to see her in her zone. Like you could just tell when she was doing the compressions that this is old muscle memory.
Yeah.
This is like way back. And you could just see the focus. Like her mind was somewhere else. But to see her moving when she did her compressions and stuff, it was good. It was meaty. It was like, oh, yes!
Yeah.
it was very
Experienced.
Yeah. And when we were doing the bandaging and stuff, that woman had some technique, man. She was just like, and I was like, dang,
You'd be amazed. I have a client.
Christmas presents.
Yeah, you would be amazed at where you use this too. Not necessarily in first aid. If you learn how to bandage different parts of the body on the dog, that came in handy for me. With the client, I'm currently just letting off the 4 therapeutic thing. She has a huge patch right here, a raised patch that none of the vets could understand. They just kept giving her, shots so the dog wouldn't scratch. She was scratching herself raw. After going through therapy, even during therapy, I was thinking, could we bandage your feet? No, she'll chew that off. So I took a big ace bandage. I put my stuff on there and smacked it against her, slapped it on there. Slapped it on there. And then I took a huge, I know, right, ace bandage and made her a shirt out of it because you just need to cushion the claws.
Right.
And she started to get better almost immediately. By the second week, she wasn't even scratching anymore. Mom felt so perturbed. She's just an older lady and was just verklempt over this dog because this dog was just hysterical over this. But we got the itching down so that she could then take her little shirt off. But it was something that mom could do at home. Or I told her, if you mess it up or you're not sure or she keeps scratching it off, bring her in. I'll stop what I'm doing and put her little shirt back on. So, I mean, knowing how to do these things work in other aspects of your career, on your kids, on you, on dogs, on whoever. So it's not just, the dog's been cut or, something needs wrapped or whatever. You can use it for a lot of different things. And I just used that the other day.
You can actually use it in gardening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when a tree has an injury, it's a lot like wrapping up a paw wound.
Mm-hmm.
Very similar. So you can put that back together and bandage it just like you would bandage a wound. You're bandaging the tree and it will grow back together.
So Quincy's making a really good point. She witnessed a dog get hit by a car, and she bandaged it with her pair of her daughter's tights that were in the car. Okay.
Yep.
Now, here's the thing. This is why keeping it current matters. So, first of all, their techniques will change over time. Okay. Things that were done 15, 20 years ago, they have like everything, when things are studied and they find better ways, they make improvements. Okay.
Veterinary medicine changes
Yes.
yearly. Like there are updates in the last 6 months,
Yep.
in the last year, in the last year and a half, in the last 2 years. Everything changes and you have to stay up to date.
Yep.
And it's so important because, so much changes so fast. If you are not staying current with the current advisory, you're years out of date.
Mhm. However, basic wrapping techniques and basic first aid will always be good in a pinch. Let's say you haven't kept up on it, but you have taken classes in first aid. You have taken classes in CPR. Those are still available in your memory, in your muscle memory. It'll come back to you when you see what's going on. Like, well, I could wrap it like this. Before I started working with dogs, I would have had no idea how to wrap a dog and for it to stay on there and not choke them at the same time. You know what I mean? But if you take the time to learn those methods, they're going to come to you. Yes, it's good to keep updated, but the initial one is a rock star for you, I think.
Oh, absolutely. It is. Everyone should have basic technique for CPR, for every type of CPR, because you want to know what method is going to be the most effective. Like I have a kitten. Side to side CPR on him is going to break his teeny tiny little bones because he's teeny tiny and his little bones are the size of my pinky. So if I apply direct pressure, understandably, when you do CPR, yes, you are going to break a rib. However, broken ribs are better than dead.
Yeah.
So it's okay to break a rib rather than not do CPR.
And
Ribs
make sure you have waivers for your clients that they understand that. Okay.
Yes.
And Quincy, to answer your question, all right, the recommendation is every other year. However, I agree with you. It should be done yearly.
I used to train my staff yearly.
Yeah.
Every year. We did it every year. Because I would rather have it be second nature and have it be something that rather than, what did she say again? I know it was something like this. No, every year.
And what's a life worth? Just one class or as many as you need to save that one life? So you may not use it all the time. You may never use it. There are some groomers who will go through their entire career without ever having to do CPR. However, that one dog that does need it, or the cat or the bat or the rat or whatever that you're working with, will benefit, and it's priceless to save that pet for that client.
What's the price of your own pet's life worth?
Exactly. So doing it every year, doing it twice a year. I mean, however much you think that you need it, but Quincy, I think probably at least once yearly.
Yeah.
All right, and so, Quincy, good choice on the two that you have coming to teach the first aid class. Is it this weekend? Or it's
Next
this
week.
weekend? Next weekend.
It is next weekend.
Okay.
Ask
next
me
week,
how I'll know.
because you're there.
Yeah.
Because I'm there. I'm doing my 4-hour ergonomic certificate class.
Nice.
Well, it's actually good that it's next weekend. Next weekend. What are the dates for that?
The 15th
Quincy?
through the 14th, 15th
What are the
through the
dates for
19th.
that?
It's next weekend.
Yeah.
Okay. And the dates for next weekend are
15th to the 19th.
okay, the 15th through the 19th.
I believe so, yes.
Well, I don't know if there's classes on Thursday.
Well,
I think the trade show is opening on, if I'm not mistaken, the trade show is opening on the 15th. Yeah.
15th through the 18th. Okay.
16th.
So, and this coming weekend, the 11th and 12th, I will be teaching cost-cutting methods for your grooming salon. And on Monday, Joey Villani will be teaching all day his business savvy classes for pet groomers on the 12th. So you can go to positiveeducationaltraining.com and sign up for that. and it's all about business.
Nice. That's a very, very popular class. I see that at
Mhm.
trade shows, and that gets full quickly. So if
Mhm.
you can't make it to a trade show, that's a great way to get that class.
Joey's
Mhm.
class is fantastic. His courses changed so much about my salon when I took his classes,
Mhm.
because he's got some excellent ideas and tips, and he's been there, done that,
Mhm.
and he will tell you he failed in some aspects of his business. But in order to learn, you have to have those failures, because it's like, oh wait, this doesn't work, but let's see if this does. And it's like, oh, okay,
You-
so this did work. Where
you
this,
learn more. Yeah, you learn way more from doing and making the mistakes, because that is hands-on practical experience. And you're gonna feel like, oh, I'm a big doofus, I did it. No, but you learned, and you learned what worked for you. Because something could work really well for Mary
Mhm.
because of how her brain is organized. And if I try to do it, no violence. It won't work, and it'll piss me off.
Yeah, we all work differently. But some things are universal in business. There are some universal
Mhm.
business rules, and I took his basic universal business rules, applied them to my business. Wow, made a huge difference. I had a somewhat successful salon that went to an incredibly successful salon, and just based on his recommendations from that class, from his classes, I should say. And, so I learned from his mistakes.
So here's the thing: when you make a decision on your business, within your business, either it's good and that's great, and you propel yourself forward, or it's the wrong decision and you learn something, what not to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so Angie, do you have your weird animal fact?
I do. Let me load
Is
that
it
up.
is it wholesome? Do I get to twist it in some way?
You probably find a way to twist it. I'm just saying, I mean, I know you. So, I'm just saying, we all know it's going to be a thing.
Angie's Weekly Weird Fact.
All right. So, armadillos, their claws can be as much as 8 inches long. The claws. And it's not like they're overgrown or there can be just 8 inches long. They give birth once a year, and it's either 4 males or 4 females, but they never have a mix. It's either all male or all female. And they're kind of bulletproof because of the texture of their body. The way that their armored plating comes together, they cannot be punctured if hit at the proper angle. Of course, their underside is soft. So if I just say they're not completely bulletproof, they're not made out of metal. But from the right direction, and don't go shooting armadillos. That's not what I'm saying. Don't go try this at home. That's mean. They're lovely little animals. But for the most part, they are kind of bulletproof, which is pretty cool. While they're cute, do not pet or touch them. They can carry and transmit leprosy. So, bacterial infection.
Angie's Weekly Weird Fact.
Angie, leprosy is treatable, so
It is now.
That is the best news I have heard all year. Yeah, wait.
leprosy is treatable, so cuddle them, whatever.
When you say treatable, do you mean treatable the way some STDs are treatable? Like you're always going to have it, and
No.
you're just managing the
No, it's a
symptoms?
bacterial infection.
But
Back in the day, when leprosy was a thing, they didn't know why. They just put them in a colony. And another fun fact of leprosy, because that's where we are now, is that you have to be exposed over a period of time.
Yes.
You don't just
What?
get it, like ringworm.
You bring the snoot, pet the ribbed for petting pleasure armadillo,
Mhm, mhm.
and wash your hands real good. And
Your
only
clothes
use your
and your
hands.
face and everything, your hair, yes, and then go to
Don't
the doctor.
only don't touch stuff. Don't. I know what I just said. Don't. Ew. I'm joking. Don't be gross. Only your hands, and then go and wash your hands and Clorox wipe the bejesus out of yourself.
Mhm, mhm.
All right. So
I broke Angie.
Angie, I am in total agreement with you. I'm getting to admire armadillos from a distance.
Yeah.
I have one that, okay, so he busts in. I have fence panels in my backyard, okay, for the dogs. I have an armadillo that wants to come live in my house. He busts in. That's how I got Toddy, okay? The animals just come to the back door and they're like, hey, can I live here? And I'm like, okay.
Mhm.
Okay. They come to my back window and they're like, excuse me, lady, can I have food? And I'm like, okay. All right. So, okay.
So basically, all right. I have a very important question. Since we have determined that Angie is Snow White, since this is a bacterial thing that they can carry,
Yes.
Mr. Dilio, who wants to join your family, you could just scrub him down real good, like give him a good bath, and he'll be okay.
Like
Michelle.
they carry it. Well, they carry
They
it.
carry
So
it.
it's not just a matter of
Not just on them.
wash them.
Oh,
They
so
need an
it's the-
internal medication to take it away from them. And I'm not sure. I'd have to study it a little more. I'm not sure if they just carry it like in their saliva or whatever, or if you could eradicate it from that. I know armadillos that don't have leprosy.
Okay,
So,
so
I mean-
Anita, who thinks the armadillos, she calls them thugs, and they're mean.
Not
So-
Mr. Dilio, who wants to live with Angie.
So the one that comes in the backyard, I went out there and I was like, oh, he's so cute. And I wanted to get pictures of him. And of course, I didn't take my phone because it was like 2:00 in the morning. And I was just going outside to look at the stars. And so I was like, oh my God. So I ran back in to get my phone. And I was like, wait, come back. And he's like, nah. So I've seen him a few times, but he keeps busting into the pen. And he hangs out on the back door. And he just kind of hangs out on the little back deck area there, and he's just like, I would live here if you would let me. And if I could figure out a way to get him treated.
Listen, what I took from this conversation was give him a good scrubby scrub and a couple rounds of antibiotics, and you're golden. As long as he's given
I
up
could
his whole
find a
life,
vet.
settle down.
This is Florida, so they've got some pretty funky exotic rules down here. So I could probably find a way to have an armadillo for a pet. There are people down here that own tigers, for Pete's sake. I don't want a tiger, but I could have an armadillo. I'm just saying.
Well,
Just
an
saying.
armadillo's probably cheaper to feed than a tiger.
I'm saying, and I could figure it out. I think I'm just throwing that out there. So if I could find a vet that would treat him,
I would have one. They're
Or
adorable.
you also need a skunk.
no, I don't need a skunk. I don't need a skunk.
Mm-mm.
So I have a squirrel. So James the squirrel, and I have a bluebird that really wants to live in my house, keeps banging down the window.
Oh,
Aw.
hey, listen, I'm just going to tell you right now. Leave the bluebird outside.
Oh no, and I don't want a bluebird to come
Wait,
live in
wait,
the house.
bluebird or blue jay?
Bluebird.
Oh, okay, never mind. I take it back.
I put houses up. So I'm like, hey, look, this is your own house. It's much smaller,
As
but
someone,
you can have this one. And he's like, no, I want to live here.
as someone who's legitimately had a pet pigeon, there's a lot of poop involved.
Oh no, I had birds. I had birds. I had 2 parakeets that I trained that were lovely, but there is so much poop. And while I do love birds,
Mhm.
I have 2 cats that I am responsible for, and it would not be fair to have a prey animal when I have 2 males who would want to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
I would have a bird, but they're so needy, and I probably can't give them the time
Yes.
that they require,
Even
and for the fact that they are supposed to be living in flocks of 1,000 or
Yeah.
more, and they need air and outside and breezes.
did
And
I
you
did
know,
I never tell you guys the story of how I acquired a pet pigeon?
no.
Do we have time? Can we run over?
You need to tell Pedro this story because he's convinced they are drones.
hold on. It's been confirmed that China has developed bird drones, and there are a ton of them
Yes.
everywhere. So that is a fact. However, you can't really tell the drones from the real birds until you shoot them down or they're on the ground.
Well, this
Yeah.
was 40 years ago. So I'm pretty
Not a
sure
drone. It was
it
just
was
a
not
bird.
a drone.
It was a drone.
Drones don't bleed. Drones don't bleed.
No, they leak oil.
Yeah. Yeah. At the time we did not have any indoor cats. The
Okay.
cats were outside, and I was out playing in the yard, and I'm like, oh, what are the cats going at? They're going at the head. They're like creeping on this bush. Yeah, there was a pigeon, and one of his feet was gone.
Mm,
I'm assuming in someone's mouth because
mhm,
it was just gone.
mhm,
And
mhm.
another toe off the other foot was
Oh,
not there. So he was like grounded in the bush, and the cats were closing in, and child went yoink and
yeah,
yoinked him in the house
Mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
as you would.
as you would. And he loved sitting on your lap
Oh,
because clearly his feet were not uh,
Yeah.
one of them wasn't,
He couldn't
but
perch.
the way he couldn't really perch, but the way their breastbones are, if you look down at your thighs, right, it was perfect. He fit right in there, and he just liked being petted. And
Oh.
yeah, he went from a wild I am about to die to what is happening. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, cracked corn.
survival is
Okay.
survival.
The
You
life
know?
lottery.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to give me food and take care of me and make sure my needs are met.
And pet my head till it's
And
with a
I want that for my
toothbrush.
own self.
I brushed him with a toothbrush until he was shiny.
why am I not surprised?
And I give my mother I should give my mother grief now, but she put up with that shit.
Well, when
In
you
our
have
kitchen.
a kid that's empathetic and brings home critters, you're kind of happy that it's just a bird and not like, something else.
Or leprosy.
Or leprosy.
Or
I didn't or
the
rabies.
plague that groundhogs carry.
Oh,
Prairie dogs.
I wanted a groundhog so bad as a kid. Oh my God. I used to, so there was one out in the pasture. And he was my friend, and I wanted so much for him to come home with me. And Grandma was like, no.
They like outside really, really well. They like it a lot.
So I was like, well, just, come on, you can just hang out with me. And so he did. I mean, he was a nice little grandpa. And I was like, come on in the house. And she was like, no, he cannot.
I would probably give up a limb if I could befriend a corvid. I would be so happy. I'm telling you,
Listen,
if that would happen,
all it
would be
takes is bribes
it would
and
change the meaning
patience.
of my life. I want a raven.
all it takes is bribes and patience.
Yeah, but I can't bribe him close enough to make him love me yet.
Yes.
Yes.
I would have a wild raven love me.
See, that's the key right there, is the word yet. That means that there's hope.
Same.
Because eventually,
You don't know me. You don't
I'd
know
be
me,
happy
Angie.
with a crow. I'd be happy with a crow, but a raven would be
A raven would be magnificent.
that would be so. I have crows in the yard, and I'm like, hi. So here's
All right. So the crows love Ernesto. Oh, wait,
Yeah.
hold on.
yeah, they get to know you. Crows are super smart, and they have like a collective mind.
Mhm.
So if you're mean to one crow, every other crow will know you. But if you're
Mhm.
kind to a crow, every other crow will know you.
Yeah, we have ravens here. So I mean, the possibilities are endless for me.
So we have crows and ravens here too. And whenever Ernesto goes out on the lawnmower, they're all hanging around.
He's picking up food. So
He's
yeah.
taking food for them. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, he's the good guy that kicks up the food.
Okay, it is 4:06 my time.
Oh, we gotta go.
We gotta go. We will see everybody next week.